Imagine this. You care deeply about someone. You check your phone. Nothing. Hours pass. Still nothing. You tell yourself, maybe they're busy. Then your mind starts changing the story. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing feelings? Why are they ignoring me? But here's the strange part. Sometimes the people who ignore us are the people who love us the most. And even stranger, sometimes we become the person doing the ignoring. Not because we stopped caring. Not because love disappeared. But because something inside us became louder than love. Fear, pride, overwhelm, pain, protection. Ignoring someone you love isn't always cruelty. Sometimes it's psychology. And today we're going deep into why people emotionally disappear from the people they care about and what silence is really trying to say. Part 1. Ignoring is often protection, not rejection. Most people think, if they loved me, they wouldn't ignore me. But human psychology is rarely that simple. Think about this. When people feel emotionally unsafe, they don't always move closer. Sometimes, they move away. Imagine someone who feels overwhelmed, misunderstood, emotionally exhausted, afraid of conflict. Instead of explaining everything, they disappear. Silence becomes easier than vulnerability because talking means exposure. Talking means risk. Talking means they might say the wrong thing. So they choose distance. Psychologists call this avoidant coping. Instead of facing emotion, the brain escapes it. And the painful truth is, you can love someone deeply and still avoid them, not because they don't matter, because they matter too much. Part 2. The ego wants distance when the heart wants connection. Love doesn't remove ego. Sometimes it strengthens it. You get hurt. You wait. They don't apologize. Now your mind says, don't text first. Let them suffer. Stay silent. The heart wants repair. The ego wants victory. And silence becomes a weapon. Not always intentionally, but psychologically. Ignoring can create a sense of control. Because when someone feels powerless emotionally, distance gives them temporary power. They think, if I stay silent, I won't look weak. But silence rarely heals wounds. It usually hides them. The problem? What starts as self-protection can slowly become emotional punishment. And many relationships don't end because love disappeared. They end because two hurt people waited for the other person to speak first. Part 3. People ignore when they can't process their own emotions. There's another reason people disappear. Their emotional system is overloaded. Think of the brain like a computer. Too many tabs open. Stress, work, family pressure, fear, internal battles. Now add relationship emotions. The system crashes. When emotional capacity drops, communication drops too. Some people don't know how to say, I'm overwhelmed. So they say nothing. Some don't know how to explain, I still care, but I'm struggling. So they vanish. Silence becomes translation. Not accurate translation, but the only language they know. And this creates tragedy, because one person experiences, I need space, while the other experiences, I'm being abandoned. Same silence, different meanings. That's why assumptions become dangerous. Your mind fills empty spaces with fear. And fear is an expert storyteller. It creates endings before the story is finished. Part 4. The more we love, the more we fear loss. Here's something people rarely talk about. Love creates vulnerability. The deeper the attachment, the greater the risk. And some people respond to risk by pulling away, not moving closer. Psychologists call this attachment behavior. People with avoidant tendencies often learned one lesson early. Depend less, need less, feel less. So when real intimacy appears, their nervous system sees danger, not safety. Love says, stay. Fear says, run. And suddenly they ignore messages, delay conversations, create distance. Not because connection is unwanted, because connection feels overwhelming. The tragedy is this. The thing they secretly want becomes the thing they unconsciously escape. Part 5. When ignoring becomes manipulation. Now we need to talk honestly. Not all silence is innocent. Sometimes ignoring becomes control, deliberate distance, emotional punishment, power games. Someone disappears, returns, disappears again, keeps you uncertain, keeps you chasing, keeps emotional control. This is different. This is an emotional overwhelm. This is using attention as leverage. And love cannot survive where communication becomes strategy. Real love doesn't require emotional starvation. It doesn't keep someone guessing forever. Because healthy love says, I may need space, but I won't make you disappear inside my silence. Part 6. What should you do if someone you love ignores you? First, don't immediately create a story. Silence is information, but it isn't always truth. Second, ask. Don't assume. Communication solves mysteries that imagination destroys. Third, protect your dignity. Love someone. Care deeply. Be patient. But don't abandon yourself waiting for someone to return emotionally. And finally, remember this. Someone needing space is not always rejection, but endless silence without accountability is not connection either. Ignoring someone you love is complicated. Sometimes it comes from fear, sometimes pride, sometimes pain, sometimes emotional exhaustion, and sometimes it comes from wounds that existed long before the relationship began. But love was never meant to survive only in silence. Real connection requires courage. The courage to speak, the courage to stay, and sometimes, the courage to stop hiding behind distance. If this video made you think differently about silence, subscribe for more psychology and self-awareness content. Because understanding people starts with understanding what they never say.